every real estate investor has different properties, a different strategy, and different investments to fuel their portfolio. Today I'm joined with my good friend Olivia Tati, and she's here to share her story on how she has a really, really unique strategy that has gotten her some really great success in real estate. So Olivia, how are you doing today?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. So obviously you have a really, really unique story that we want to hear. Olivia is traveling all around the world while investing in real estate, and this is a strategy I'm sure a lot of us want to hear a lot about. So Olivia, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in real estate and what you're doing?
Basically, I had started listening to BiggerPockets in 2020, I believe, like end of 2020, got extremely hooked and obsessed with the idea of house hacking and living for free, because at the time my rent was like $1,800 a month. And I was like, this is really annoying. Why do I have to pay rent? It's cutting into like my expenses, especially, I really just love travel and always prioritize it. And I was like, well, I have less money to travel because I've got this expense. So started off house hacking, bought a duplex, lived on one side, rented out the other side. And then I even would rent out the spare bedroom on my side on weekends to a coworker who lived closer to the office and just wanted to be in the city during the weekend. So that was kind of how I got started.
Awesome. So house hacking sounds like it was the strategy that you obviously were gung-ho going for. Can you tell us what got you interested in real estate initially? I know being young, we're all thinking like, where can I put my money? Is it stocks? Is it crypto? Real estate seems like a really high entry point. Can you tell us why real estate was what you thought was going to be my avenue for financial freedom, or to open the doors to let me travel a lot more?
This was actually like mid-COVID. I just was working away at my corporate job and we were working from home. And I just realized I really did not enjoy my job. It was literally sucking my soul away. I made a decision that I was going to try and figure out how to get out of it. At the time, though, I was in $25,000 worth of credit card debt. So that was step number one, was figuring out, okay, how the heck do I even get rid of this credit card debt? I'd heard that people make money in real estate. I just thought it was selling houses. Oh, yeah, you see a lot of realtors and stuff who make a bunch of money. I'll go down that route. So I was studying to get my license, and to kind of keep myself pumped up, I started looking up real estate investing podcasts, found BiggerPockets, and that's when I was really like, oh, wait, this is it. Like, this is how you really get true freedom. So that's where real estate came in. And then especially when I found out about the low down payment loans for owner occupied properties, that's what really drew me in, because at the time I was $25,000 in credit card debt with very little in savings. So I just pretty much buckled down for the next 8 months, paid off all of my credit card debt, and started putting offers in on properties.
Obviously, it sounds like you've really buckled down, figured out what my monthly budget is. How am I going to get to, not into the transactional stage, but I want to own property. I want to get the benefits of everything. So can you tell us a little bit about what market you were in at that time? I know it sounds like you're in your backyard at this time, house hacking for your first property. Where was that?
In New Orleans. And New Orleans is a really great market just because they have a lot of multifamily properties. Like duplexes are on every single street here pretty much, but then they also do have triplexes and fourplexes. And when I was renting, I was kind of living in like the bougier part of town. So when I got into house hacking, I actually started looking at more of the up and coming neighborhoods just because the price points were a lot better. And honestly, that was the best decision ever.
So we obviously found the location that you're looking for. You know what you're looking for potentially for the size. What was your buy box for the property type? It sounds like you're looking small multifamily. You closed on a duplex. Were you only looking at duplexes? Were you writing offers on fourplexes? What exactly were you looking for?
Yeah, I was looking at fourplexes. However, since I knew I was going to be living in the property, fourplexes, some of the locations, I just wasn't as comfortable moving into the property. I was still looking at them. And I remember I put an offer in on a triplex actually, but I got beat out at the time because if you know, in 2021, market was crazy. Things were going over asking price. And we can even go into like that whole strategy too, because that was really frustrating. I think I put like 10 or 15 offers in and just kept getting beaten out one after the other. But my buy box was at the time, it was under $450,000 because in 2021, the FHA loan limit was $450,000. So if you didn't want to put more money in, you had to be below the $465K range if you wanted to get a loan for 3.5% down. That was my buy box. And I was looking for a property where I was going to be able to live for free. I didn't want to be paying any money money out of pocket if I could short-term rent out the other side. The other things I looked into is because it was in New Orleans, which is in the city, I did make sure to run my numbers as a medium-term rental and as a long-term rental. It just needed to at least break even, maybe cash flow a couple $100 as a long-term rental.
So you've had, really great success in your own backyard and, traveling is your goal. We clearly see that. So can you tell us what you're looking for in out-of-state markets now? What was the first property that you looked for that wasn't in New Orleans?
I actually bought a property in Virginia. So honestly, the main criteria there was cash flow. So the reason I didn't look in at anything else in New Orleans was I just didn't want to really deal with hurricanes. I've lived here for a few years now and hurricanes just stress me out. So I wanted to go somewhere that was more in the mountains, closer to a national park, just because I love being around the national park. So if I could get something where I could also go hiking and bring my dog, that would be great. So I picked Virginia. I had never been to Virginia before ever in my life. I had no idea what was in Virginia, but what had happened was I was on a list, an email list for short-term rentals just because I wanted to go the short-term rental strategy. And a property popped up in West Virginia that was less than $300,000, like this cute A-frame. I had never really thought about West Virginia or Virginia, but started running the numbers in that area and they made sense. So I was just like, well, let's just go there. Why not? So that's kind of how we ended up going towards that. I was looking at so many different areas at first, like in North Carolina and in Texas. But I think honestly, once I narrowed in and zoomed in on just Virginia, it made the process so much easier and was able to get under contract within like a couple of weeks.
That's awesome. So great to find it that quick. I can't believe it was only a couple week process. We know you were looking for cash flow in that market. Potentially you had a appreciation and cash flow play in Louisiana. What was your buy box? Did it change a lot when you looked in Virginia? Were you looking for small multifamily again? Were you looking for single family? What was the property type that you were kind of chasing to get that cash flow in Virginia?
Yeah, so honestly there it was price point. It had to be less than $300,000 just because of the money and the type of loan that we were going in there with. We were doing a 10% down vacation home loan and wanted it to be less than $60,000 out of pocket for that, since it's a short-term rentals, including furnishing, any renovations, all of that. So keeping that in mind, we were really looking for honestly less than $250K. We got that property for $232K.
Wow, that's a really great price. I know a lot of us investors, we have our strict buy box that's going to be like, okay, I'm going to look at this for my portfolio growth in the next X amount of years. You've taken a path where, yeah, I've done this. I'm going to change my buy box, take a pivot and adjust. I know that there's going to be some transitionary period there. How did you learn and what potential mistakes did you make during that time? Because I know you're very successful, but I can't imagine you had no growing pains going from a long-term to a short-term rental.
Actually, so even the one in New Orleans the other side was a short-term rental. So I was actually able to take the strategies that I was using for that one as proof of concept to then go in it. I felt comfortable going in a different market because I knew I'd be able to manage it. And the way I'd actually set up my short-term rental in New Orleans is I set it up as if I were living remotely. Because I knew that I was going to be traveling a bunch, I just set it up so that I would never actually have to go into the property once it was set up. Pretty much was able to take that strategy and put it in Virginia. I think the biggest growing pain, honestly, was really trying to find that boots on the ground team. So spent a couple of months in Virginia setting up the property. I actually found another property while I was up there. But when you're in the midst of it, trying to then find a boots on the ground team can feel really stressful and you don't really know what you're looking for at first. And there were growing pains in terms of changing cleaner. Like I had to fire someone for the first time in my life, which is something I don't ever enjoy doing. And so that was definitely a growing pain. And just each place you go to just kind of has a different culture. So kind of learning the culture there in comparison to the culture in New Orleans, things just kind of function a little differently. And it does take a little bit of time, but now things run super smoothly and I don't really worry about my properties much at all, So
that's amazing. And it's really, really great advice for somebody that's looking to get out of their market that they're extremely comfortable in. You've taken a strategy that you've been really successful with. Now I need to go and find the right team members that are going to help me leverage my assets. And you've clearly done it.
And something I will say, so because I went from multifamily to single family, now back to multifamily, but I wanted to test out the single family multifamily short-term rentals. And I realized for me, I actually just prefer having multiple units on one property. I like the multiple streams of income for no real reason, but it just feels a little bit more nerve-wracking for me to have just one stream of income on one property. So I actually have transitioned back into going into multifamily properties.
Makes total sense. So up to today's date, we talked about COVID, we talked about 2021, kind of leveraging out of a great appreciation time for everybody. Can you tell us what Olivia's doing here in 2024 and what your portfolio kind of looks like today?
Totally. So I have got 4 units. I am currently actually probably about to put an offer in on another triplex in Colorado because I'm moving my home base to Colorado. And I always say home base because if you know me and you follow me on the socials, I'm literally always traveling. But as much as I love New Orleans, I used to live in Colorado and have always been drawn back to it. So adding probably 3 more units this year here in the next couple of months, maybe next month. So we shall see.
So your journey has gone from I've gotten the debt away, I've house hacked, and now I'm going on to these massive projects. This is awesome to hear. What is the biggest piece of advice in that journey? I know you've, like I said, you've gone full circle here almost, it seems like. What's the biggest piece of advice you could tell somebody that's trying to follow your footsteps? I want to travel. I'm fed up with my job. How do I get my foot in the door with real estate?
Just buy the first property. Don't overanalyze it. Don't drive yourself crazy. I literally was just on a podcast yesterday. And, I think sometimes nowadays there's almost so much content and information out there that it puts people in paralysis because they're like, well, should I go this route? Or do I go this route? Or do I go this route? And it's like, you just got to pick one. You got to pick one and go for it. No route is going to be the best route. It really doesn't matter. Every single route out there works. You just have to actually start. That's my advice.
And it's really, really great advice. So, Olivia, I know it's going to be really hard to find you in person since you're always on the move, but where can our audience learn more about you on social? And if they're in some beautiful tropical area and they run into you, where can we find you, Olivia?
Yes, I am the most active on Instagram. So at the Olivia Tati is my Instagram handle. I also have a YouTube channel, which if you type in at the Olivia Tati, you'll find me there.
Olivia, I really can't thank you enough for your time today and hearing your story. It's a really amazing story and I can't wait for our audience to hear it.
Perfect. This was so fun.
If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the BiggerPockets YouTube channel. We're going to have plenty more stories like Olivia's on how you got started. My name is No Bacon and you have a great day.